Hey, Joni.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. It's just you and I tonight. Private lesson.
Yeah, I guess so.
No, just kidding. I'm sure
Yeah, I'm
other
a little
people.
early for a change. I'm usually 5 minutes late.
Well, I assume because you're coming from work.
No, today had the day off today. It's President's Day.
Right, but normally.
Oh,
Because
well,
you're work.
I work from home, so I have no
Oh.
excuse.
Well, you still have to work. People like
Right.
associate work from home mean you do nothing and you're in your pajamas all day. I mean, that's not true.
Close to that. I mean,
My daughter works from home, and my granddaughter is 7 years old, and um, so this morning she took the week off for the school vacation week. So this morning she took a little video of them role playing, and my granddaughter was playing my daughter at work. It was freaking hysterical.
oh, that's
She's like,
funny.
"No, Mom, don't interrupt me right now. I'm having a meeting. You know that you can go ask Daddy for a snack." And this like, and okay, just a second. Yeah, no, we're not going to talk about that point right now. That's not what this meeting is about. And I don't know if that's what my daughter says in her meetings that she runs or what, but she had, I mean, she had the headphones on, she had the glasses on, she had the whole, because they have screen glasses. They're not prescription. They're just for
Yeah.
using screens a lot. Oh
Yeah.
my God, it was hysterical. She was
Oh,
so funny.
funny. What does your daughter do?
She is a behavioral health manager for the call center for Tufts Health Insurance.
Oh, okay.
She has her master's in social work and LICW, her LICW license,
Yep.
but
Yep.
she decided she wanted to make money in the corporate world.
Yeah.
And she was,
Well,
and she got pretty burned out. She was working in a program that was a 3-day dry out before putting people in a longer term rehab program.
oh,
And
wow.
the recidivism just burned
Oh,
her
it's
out
horrible.
badly. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were in the North End one night after dinner walking around, and there was a guy panhandling, and she said, "I'm not supposed to tell you this because of HIPAA, but I just released that guy 3 days ago because the Social Security check comes in at the end of the month or whenever,
Right.
and they get out and then they're back in when they're out of money, and it
Right.
was awful."
Yeah. My sister-in-law is a social worker in the Worcester school system.
Oh, that must be tough too.
She's been doing that for 30 years now or so. And my mother-in-law used to be a nurse at a detox in the Natick Framingham area when
Oh,
no,
yeah.
she was out. Where was her detox? It was Western Mass somewhere. It was like Athol
Oh,
or
okay.
something like that, or Phillips, like out that way somewhere.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's so I've heard those stories from family members, and she's like, my mother-in-law is talking, oh yeah, you get the detox, you get the guys come in and they're out of their minds and you got to shoot them with Narcan and whatever. And it
Right.
was like, yeah, not
Well,
a fun.
no, she said she had to do intake some days in the middle of winter with windows open because when they come off the street, they just, they haven't showered or bathed
Oh
in
yeah,
months, and it was.
right.
So now she likes working in the corporate world a little bit better, and she feels
Yeah.
she's still aiding people. She went into Tufts as a consultant originally, and then over the years her job kind of morphed. And she was full time before COVID, full time working from home before COVID.
Oh,
So
lucky
she
her.
was all fully set up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi everybody. Hi John. Beth.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
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 Both Johns. Lois, how you doing? Up, muted.
You're on mute.
You're muted.
You're muted, Lois. You look good. I assume you're doing fine. Can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I'm muted. I didn't realize that. I'm doing well, thank you. And I'm scrolling and scrolling here because I'm trying to change my background photo.
Oh, don't I love it?
The one that's there has been up for a while. So
I love that picture. Absolutely love it.
You're bored. You're bored with it. It does look like it's growing out of your head, though. Hi, Phyllis.
You're on mute, Phil.
Thank you.
I think people come in muted.
When you send your link and I go to sign in, it always asks me for a passcode, and I never get a passcode.
At the very bottom of the email that they send you.
The very bottom, because you sent an email at the beginning saying this was going to be the one, so I saved that. I'll have to double check it.
Well,
But
that's fine, but when I send an email out the day of or the day
It's-
before the meeting, it's a registration link. So first you put in your name, first name, last name, email address, and then the system, once you register, the system is supposed to send you another email with the link to the meeting and the passcode. Do you get that second email? See, I'm not doing it. I'm not on the receiver end, so I can't, you know,
yeah, no, I'll have to double check next time. Truthfully, I never pay attention. I just go back to the first email you sent in December and I just put in that.
I
So-
have an
Okay.
idea. Phyllis,
read the
pay
email I
attention
send
to
you.
the emails.
What?
Pay attention to the email.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Wow, we're getting
what
a
I
good group
did,
tonight.
what I do is when Joni, when you sent out the first meeting with all the dates and
Right.
the link to
Right.
that you said it was going to be the whole, the same link every time. I just took that link and I copied it into every date of on my calendar. And it has right in the link, it has the passcode at the bottom of the page. So
Right.
I don't bother to read the emails that you send every
That's-
day because
That's what I
did
do.
the
it
same.
isn't changing.
Yeah, I put it in like you did, and I put it in for every Monday.
So
till
Phyllis, look at the,
June. What?
so if you put the link in your calendar, when you open that link, the passcode will be at the bottom of that
Yeah,
link.
I've got that, but I always like to try Joni's link. I always know.
Well,
to
I'm
get
not
in.
sending you a link. I'm not sending you a link to the meeting. I'm just sending, it's the registration link.
Okay,
The way I had set this up back in the beginning was that everyone should register for each meeting that you're coming
Are we
to.
supposed, oh, really?
No, well, I mean, it's working, so it doesn't matter. It was more for security. I thought it was another level of security, but
yeah.
I try to do something and it just ends up confusing people.
Anyway,
wait.
I saved your link, so I get in and I'm very happy. Thank you very much.
All right, Lois, you're still in Paris at least.
I'm
You didn't
sorry.
leave- You're still in Paris. You didn't leave. the
Yes, I am
country.
still in Paris, but it's a different view.
Okay, it's a little after 7.
And-
People might still
And there's
wander.
nothing growing out of my head unless I move
No.
over here or over here.
It didn't bother me.
Lois,
So
I
I
know
did-
where you are.
Yeah, I did get a few images this week. And I think one of them, the person's not even here, but maybe he wants me to watch. I think he watches the videos, so you can't always come to the meeting. But there were a couple of processes last week that we didn't end up having time for that I thought we'd start with that just because they're pretty quick and easy and it's earlier in the evening, and then go on to editing the photos. So let me share screen. Make sure everybody's in that's in for now. I think they are. Okay, and I'll do this. There's this. I want to go here. I want to get rid of that. And I think I want to start with this one. Yeah. So we did talk about this a little bit in the very. Oh, can everybody mute themselves and shut their videos off too, just to help us with broadband width. A few weeks ago, we sort of got into the batch processing a little bit, but I wanted to just give it a little bit more of a once over. There's not a whole lot to it, and obviously I learned something that first night. So batch processing is something that if you have a series of photos, I just have a text. Let me just see. It's not for us. Series of photos that we're taking in the same light, the same exposure settings, the same time of day, similar situation. Maybe you did a burst, and you want to, you're going to be basing very similar edits to all of the images. There's a couple of ways that you can do that, and Lightroom is exceptionally fast at processing all the changes at once. Even if it's like 10 or 20 images, it doesn't take very long at all. And so what you need to do is choose the images that you know you want to, there's two ways to do it. Maybe I'm editing some pictures and I get to this image and I actually make some I do some changes as lower the highlights, increase the shadows, maybe even pop a little more exposure there. I'm going to check my whites by clicking the option key, and my blacks, and make sure that's right. I wouldn't necessarily do cropping at this point, but I would do anything else that you're going to do in a global sense. You actually can do some masking techniques. I haven't tested that out, however, but my understanding is if you have the same picture and you choose to mask certain people and even save it as a preset, it will apply the mask by choosing the people individually in each image, meaning it won't say, let's say I masked this girl right here, and in the next picture she's standing over here. It will actually choose the person wherever she is in the image. It's pretty smart, the new masking tool. I just personally haven't used it a whole lot, and I'm going to just be basic for right now. There may be times when we're editing photos over the next few weeks that comes up and we can play with it. So I made a few images. I'm going to put even just a quick vignette here just to make something so it's a little obvious. So here's before and after. Let's go back to this. Trying to do a full before and after. So now I go, oh, I go to the next image. Yeah, this is a kind of similar light, similar pose. This one is too. Let's take all of the editing that I did on this first image and do it to the other two images coming up as well. So in this case, because they're consecutive, I can choose the first image, hold down the shift key, and click on the last image, and that I'm going to sync the edits. And you can see that all three images are highlighted now. Now I have auto sync on already, so I believe what will happen, I'm going to click off this image and go to this image, and it didn't work. I think what you have to do at that point is not have auto sync. If you do the first one, you can't have auto sync on. And I'm going to show you the way you do it with auto sync on. But if I just have sync on and I click the sync button, all of the choices in the editing develop module come up in these settings, and you can synchronize which settings you want. Now, in this case, I can just choose check all because I know I'm going to do whatever I did to the first image, I'm going to do in the other two images. But if you did do a crop, you might want to uncheck that. You can pick and choose which of these items you want to sync across the group of images that you're going to sync. And then when you synchronize them, if I click off this image and go to the last image, now the edits are applied. Now I'm going to Command Z, and that should take off that whole sync. And I'm even going to go back to the beginning of this picture. I'm going to go back to the beginning of each one, set them back to the original. When you have auto sync on and you choose the images that you know ahead of time you want to edit all the same way, you would click on the first image, click on the last image, you've got all three highlighted. Now when you make these edits, they actually are going to happen to all three images at the same time. And you can even see white's updated for three images. I can see that popped up.
Do you select all of them and then turn auto sync on?
So no, I turned auto sync on first.
Oh, okay. But before you selected the three images.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
For the second one. So now if I go to this, now I can see that these images have been adjusted. Those three images. And you may still need to go in, tweak a little. You may say, oh, the shadows didn't come up here. I might want to do a linear grid. I mean, there might be things you want to do, but at least it's the the lion's share of the work has probably been done for you. So let me go, I'll go back and just do it one more time real quick. So now, and if you don't want to do, if the pictures aren't consecutive, instead of shift and clicking to the last picture, if you want to add another picture anywhere in your film strip, you just click on, hold the Command or Control key down, and you can see I'm highlighting other images. I mean, I don't want to change those images, so I'll undo them, but you don't have to have consecutive images. You can choose image by image using the Command key if they're not consecutive. So auto sync is on right now before I start. If auto sync wasn't on, I'm only making actually changes to, let's just make a dramatic change just to go quick. I'm only making an image of this one. Auto sync isn't on, so these two are not going to have it done. And when I choose them and I choose auto sync, I don't think that worked either. I think that it doesn't change unless I actually go to sync. Yeah, see, this one didn't get changed. You actually, if you don't have auto sync on before, then you have to actually choose the images after you edit the first one, and then click auto sync. See, did that work? Let's see.
Not necessarily. All you have to do is all you have to do is just select the images, then click auto sync, and then you can edit any one of them, and the edit will appear on all the others.
Well, so Leo, that's what it's not changing them though. It's not changing the image. See what I have the first image I did, I edited it. I click the three, I highlight them. Auto sync is on now, but it's not.
Now try to
edit the first one.
Yeah, try to edit the.
And you think, oh, see, it is. Yeah, it did change them. So you have to hit auto sync before you do any edits.
You can
Yeah,
actually
you can
go
select at any point. Go on.
Yeah, but if you already started one, if you already started one edit, that won't go. Just anything afterwards.
No, you have to select all the images that you want to synchronize.
Right.
And then click on
Well, first you have
you
to,
can copy settings from the previous image.
well, you can do that too. That's a separate thing. That's a separate action. You certainly can do that.
I haven't used it with
Typically, I'm editing and I don't know ahead of time that I'm going to have a bunch of images that I'm going to want to batch edit. Sometimes I do, but a lot of times I don't. So my workflow has always been to do the first one, click all three, and then hit the sync button. A few weeks ago, I learned about this auto sync. And now that with all three images chosen, I can make my changes, do my edits, and all three of them are getting changed at the same time.
And you said you could do the masking as well?
You can. So I have to read up a little bit more about that. I know that there's if you do a preset and apply the preset, it will do that. If you want me to take the time and try something with that right now, I will. Let's do.
But how can you do the masking on all of them? Because there are three different images. They're just similar in exposure, but the images are different.
Okay, let's do.
You can select a mask based on color range, right?
That's sure. Let's do that. Let's do it based on color range, and I pick. I'm trying to think of, they all have a little bit of white or black. They pick black. And I mean, that's going to pick all the black in the picture. And I bring it all the way up. Now, see, I don't think that's a good one to use, honestly. Now that I think about it, that's not a good one to use. I'm going to delete that. Well, I was thinking more if you chose a person. Let's pick one in the middle. Who's this one? Where is she? Right here. Let's pick her. and we create a mask on her, the entire person. And I lower the exposure on her. And let's do it dramatically just because. So in here, my understanding is, and it didn't pick the same person, but my understanding is it knows enough to pick the same person, and it didn't. So that I know that Matt Laskowski has a set of presets that he does for like eyes, hair, skin tones, and supposedly if you use his preset, it will work on any person's. But if there's multiple people, how does it know? I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I just know that the new masking AI does have some powerful tools that you might be able to use more extensively.
My guess is it's getting confused because these are all people in the same family and their faces look close enough alike each other. They're confusing between images.
And the clothes are similar, and
right,
you know, in terms of the stripes.
That's why I was thinking if you did color gradient, like they all have a little bit of pink, but they're slightly different shades of pink, and that might be easier to mask and follow the person.
Maybe, but I think the times when you would use it would be maybe to soften the skin tone in someone's face or brighten their eyes. I'm trying to think of things like that you would typically do to a person. So I probably confused you more than helped you. But in terms of, regardless of the masking, does anybody have questions or on the batch editing? Being able to do a bunch of edits some edits to a bunch of the similar pictures. And again, you probably wouldn't want to do anything with crop because they probably are all a little bit different. I mean, these two are pretty similar, this one and this one, but then you go to this one and it's already been cropped, it looks like, so.
But Joni, before you move to the next topic, I was going to basically ask a question. Now, when you look at develop, there's auto. When you choose auto, it picks what it thinks is a good idea. And it seems like a reasonable thing to do is just click auto and then make changes starting from that point instead of the original. What do you think?
I think that a lot of people, I do that from time to time just to see what auto does. And if I don't really have a sense of what I want to do to the picture yet, I'm kind of looking at it, I'm like, something's off. I just can't really tell what it is I want to do with this picture. I'll look at auto and I will hit the auto button and see what auto does. And then you can move it from there, or you can reset it and start from scratch. And mostly those are times when there's not that much wrong with the picture to begin with. My thought process when editing is, what's the thing that, this is how you typically think, what's the thing that bothers me the most about this image? Let's fix that. Okay, what bothers me next about that? And work my way down until I'm satisfied with the picture, or whatever, or I can't do anything more. It's not going to get any better, whatever it is. I kind of whittle it down. And like I said last week, I typically crop first, because at least then you're looking at the image that has the pixels that you're going to adjust within it. So that's, I mean, certainly it's a good place to start. I don't often use it myself, but I will use it sometimes. I don't not that often. I don't have Frank monitoring the chat tonight. So if you do have a question, chat, I mean, I can't see chat. I can see chat. There's nothing in chat. I can see chat. The next, yes.
What I often do rather than batch is just, if I've developed some photo and I go on to the next, I just hit previous.
So you make images, you make an exposure adjustment here. And whatever you do, you're happy with that. You go to the next picture and right here, previous, and it does the same exact settings. Okay.
Yes.
Great. The other thing Alan was saying was to do copy and paste settings. So let's do this and do this and do whatever make a bunch of stuff. And then I imagine, and I don't, is it settings, copy and paste? Copy settings here. Oh, copy. And then go to here and settings paste. And this is, yeah, okay. And there are I see that there are keyboard shortcuts for that. So copy settings would be Shift, Command or Control C, and paste would be Shift, Command or Control V. So instead of Command or Control C or V, you're just adding Shift to it to copy all the settings.
So I use a lot of previous one, the one down. It's
down here. Oh, well,
no,
but
no, no.
that's
We
right.
you
Settings. Yep,
and
settings.
on the
paste
bottom,
from
yep, I use
previous.
that a lot.
And that's must be the same as just clicking this button here, is what Susan was telling us.
Previous.
Right.
Oh, wait, I didn't see that show up.
Yep, right down at the bottom of the develop panel, you have reset and previous. So the reset set this image back to its original, and previous is applying the settings from the previous photo.
I use that previous button a lot too.
And I probably will from now on, to be honest with you, because I knew it was there from a few weeks ago. Somebody brought it up, but again, it was never in my workflow, but I will probably remember that as well. That's pretty easy to just click previous. Especially if you don't know ahead of time. You don't know until you go, oh, that kind of does the same thing. I mean, that kind of needs the same thing as the last picture.
Previous seems easier than cut and paste. You don't make an error.
So is it previous image or previous image that you edited?
Previous image that you edited.
Okay, that's a good distinction to have. Okay, the other subject that we didn't get into last week that I was hoping to, and it might take a little bit longer, is using plugins and what I call round tripping. Again, we talked a little bit about it one of the first couple of weeks, but we didn't really do a deep dive. So plugins is a generic term for any other software programs that play with Lightroom and or Photoshop. The typical ones that most people use would be like Nix DxO software, Skylum, Topaz, Helicon Focus, Luminar. Did I say that? You can certainly go right from Lightroom directly to any of these plugins by either right-clicking on the photo and going to edit in, and these are all the plugins are listed under in this area here. Or you can go up to photo. Oh, now I got a little spinny wheel. Isn't that lovely? I hope it's not taking me somewhere. I hope I didn't click on something that I don't want to go to. Oh, I guess it went to Photoshop. I don't want to do that yet. Or you can go to the top in the photo menu, edit in, and it's in the same place. I typically, rather than going up to these menus, I've almost always found an easier way to go. So for me personally, it's a right click. There's only one, I almost never go directly through to the plugin. I would typically, and I'm going to do it with this image. So this is a completely unedited image. And for this one, I would probably crop and straighten it in Lightroom first. Oops, I need to do that. I'm going to unlock my crop tool. Let's get that really straight. Okay, that's probably. Now I want to give them a little bit more headroom there, and I would make some other edits in here. I'd lower the opacity. I'd probably do a few other things. Excuse me, lower the highlights. I'd probably do a few other things. But what I want to do, but what
you have all the pictures selected and you cropped 18 images.
Thanks.
Control.
That stinks. Did I really? I had all of my images selected.
You did.
Yeah, it showed on the screen 18 images cropped for some reason.
I don't think these are cropped though. Let me go. It must be because my computer's wicked slow, so it must be. Well, that stinks. I didn't want to do that either. I'm right now. I'm just trying to move something out of the way. Let's go to library. Let's go to. Oh, that's tonight's. So if I go here, I don't. Yeah, it's slow. My history is not coming up because it's going to take a second. Well, I'm going to have to go back and fix those later. I have to go back. All right. Well, I screwed myself up that time, didn't I? Yeah,
Been
see
there,
it here?
done there.
I know. Look at the synchronized settings. I wonder if I can X this out and cancel it. And if this will come up faster that way. This is what happens when it's really bogged down with something. It takes a second for the photo to show up in the develop module. And if I had gotten this over to Photoshop, it would have been fine. But see, even these settings are all grayed out because it's thinking. Sorry, people.
What if you just shut it down? Would that cancel everything?
It will probably take longer to shut it down and open it up again.
Okay.
Maybe not. Yeah, I think it would still it will still try to finish what it wants to finish before it will shut down, unless I do a force quit, and I don't really want to screw with that.
Well, we got 2 hours.
I know, but I have other things to do. Because those crops weren't even showing up yet.
Johnny, while you're waiting for
Yes,
this
sir.
to finish, I guess I'd ask the question that the reason why I start out with auto is, do you remember when we were kids, there were like 3 flavors of ice cream, vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry? It was very easy to figure out what you wanted. But then, when Baskin Robbins had 31 flavors, it was harder. And there were so many different things to choose: clarity, vibrance. There's like a dozen choices. And I'm not even sure exactly what they all do.
That's a very good point. And that, I mean, I can explain, obviously exposure is making the image lighter and darker. And
that's clear. That's clear. It's
right. Highlights are lower. But your point, that's a great analogy.
It's not exposure. It's not contrast. It's things like vibrance and clarity. And what do those mean? Now something got translated into something that was part of my lexicon. Like I figured texture. Correct me if I misunderstand, but it seems like texture basically is more of a high pass filter. So when you're going to emphasize the higher frequencies in the picture and de-emphasize the lower frequencies. Is that what texture actually does?
Paul might be able to answer that better because that sounded a little technical for me, but texture to me, it has to do with where the contrast is in the image, both texture and clarity, but they do it a little differently. I know that I have to think about this. Texture they do it differently, and I don't know the difference, to be honest with you. I just think of if there's something that has, a snake skin in it, where there's a lot of texture, I add a little texture. Clarity, it's all sharpening the edges between what's light and what's dark in an image. It's looking for contrast to areas and bringing the contrast, making it more contrasty. So making the lights lighter and the darks darker at the edges of where the lights and darks meet. But I don't I mean, in my head, I just picture, oh, texture is if I want to bring out the roughness of, or, you know, in a tree bark, I want it to see, I want to bring things forward and back, light and dark. And clarity is just overall, to me, it's sharpness, even though there's a sharpness button. All right, I'm going to follow Phyllis's. I'm closing down.
Well,
Let's see.
the texture and clarity, I could probably comment a little bit on that while the computer restarts or the software.
Right.
So clarity works mostly on edges. If you look at the edges of your objects, they become much more sharper defined against the backdrop. Whereas when you do texture is mostly for something that has large chunks, like if you have like a forest with trees, or if you have bricks with many granules, those will be popped up. So the difference is where the algorithm decides to increase the sharpness, it uses a different radius where it selects around the object. The clarity, the radius is very small. That's why you see, you know, a very clear distinction around your object. Whereas for texture, the radius is large.
Yeah.
So that's a subtle difference. And if you're careful, it will yield different results based on the scene.
Yay. Can open this up again.
So does texture increase effectively sharpness?
Yeah.
Right. So
Kind of like sharpening. Yeah, kind of.
yes, it's sharpening, which to me is like, again, from my lexicon, a high pass filter.
They have similar properties, but it's slightly different.
Yeah, okay, yeah. It's I have to say it's a bit confusing, but when you use it on different subjects, like if you try to use texture on a landscape, and then if you try to use clarity on a landscape, you'll see clear different results.
Yeah. And once my Lightroom decides to play well with us again, we can experiment with that. I have a landscape picture in this setting, in this collection here, that we can play with that too.
I never really understood those. And so what I would do is that I would play with them on each of the photos that I was looking at. What is clarity doing? What is the other doing? And I could see the differences, but I can't tell you what they were. But I could see, and then I go from there.
And I think it's similar for vibrance and saturation. And my understanding is that, and I probably have this opposite, but I believe vibrance is more subtle saturation settings, and it's not saturating the skin tones as much. If you have image with a lot of people in it or skin tones, you don't want to use a saturation slider because it's too punchy and it will change the skin tones. You want to use and so I don't use saturation very often, sometimes in flowers, sometimes in maybe landscapes, but not when there's people, because vibrance only boosts the lower luminance of the colors, and saturation will boost all luminance colors, regardless if it's a bright color or dull color. Does that make sense?
Little.
Okay, so let's go back. So what do we have here? I could do it. Is that the crop I want? I think I brought this in a little. I brought this in a little bit. I want to give him a little room, but obviously I in this picture I want to get rid of these side things. So I need to go to Photoshop. And I probably would bring the highlights down here a little bit. I'd probably do a few more things to him. And at the end, I can certainly always go back. But what I want to do, I would right click and I'm going to edit in, and there's edit in Photoshop. And it does go a lot quicker when Photoshop is opens, but I don't think Photoshop is open. I don't think I opened it after I closed it down. So it might take a second to open Photoshop. But I talked about this at the beginning. This is when I'm round tripping, I'm taking the image, I'm not making a virtual copy of it. I'm going to edit this image, and it's going to come back as a copy of this image. And that might be one of my preferences. Where's the Photoshop? Open Photoshop, please.
Joni, does it export it to Photoshop as a TIFF for you, or DNG, whatever your preference is? Does it do that automatically, or do you have to first export it and then tell it to open that other file?
So I don't want to use the term export, because I think of exporting as when I take it out of the Adobe system altogether and put it somewhere else on my computer, or export it to Facebook or a website or wherever you're going. What I'm doing is editing this image in Photoshop. I believe it brings it in as a raw image.
Oh, okay.
And then when it comes back from, I have my preference setting. So when it comes back from Photoshop into Lightroom, it will be a TIFF.
So Photoshop does that conversion when it sends it back?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you for your patience. I still have my little spinning wheel, but we're getting there. So in this particular instance, I'm only going to go into Photoshop and back. I was going to do the simple one first, see how that's working out for me. And then, but if I'm going to use AI, Topaz AI, if I'm going to use Studio 2, I'm going to do a sky replacement in Luminar, whatever I'm going to do, I still, while you can go from Lightroom into the external plugin, I like to do it in Photoshop, because then I can do multiple things within Photoshop. I can turn layers on and off in Photoshop. Let's see if this guy's going over there now. This should be quick this time. Should being the operative word. So any of my external plugins, and except for one, and I have to figure this out, but I'll show you when I get into the photos that you guys sent in. I always go through Photoshop, because I'm familiar with how it looks, and I can change it. I can make smart objects, and I know I can go back and make changes. So all of this external, this is too big an area to use a healing tool or cloning tool in Lightroom. It's not going to do that well, but Photoshop will do a pretty good job as soon as it brings it in there for me.
You know, we're patient because we've all gone through this crap ourselves, and we know how frustrating.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And it's just also nice to see people who know what they're doing do the same thing.
One of the other notes I wanted to make sure, some of the external editors, when you're in, and we'll get there when we're Photoshop, I think Topaz, and I'll get them confused, Topaz will make its own layer when you go from Photoshop to Topaz and back to Photoshop, but Nick does not, so you have to duplicate your layer, and I often name my layer so that I know what I did. I try to be real specific about, okay, I went into Topaz Studio 2, so I might do TS2, and I might even put whatever filter I used, I try to remember to put it on. I changed the name of the layer in Photoshop. And while this isn't a Photoshop course, we're just going to dive a little bit in there today. Okay. Hello. And I don't even want to get into doing something else until this opens up. It's not opening up. I feel like once this opens up, we'll go swimmingly. I can mention,
Joni, while you're waiting, you want to get rid of those sides. Now, can you use the color of the sides to effectively get rid of them in Lightroom.
It
They're
doesn't do
brown.
a really, it doesn't really do a good job. No, the only way that you could, I mean, you could try it is take the Band-Aid, the healing tool, and make it really big. And I don't think this will work, but go here, and especially because I've got, see, it's picking up some of him because it's so big. I could take this and I could try to move it over here. There's just not enough room. It doesn't have the same, it's not going to work. I wouldn't have even tried it except you asked. I'm deleting that.
It would be okay for a couple small little spots, but not.
Correct, but not this big and not this complicated. It's got to think what's here, what's here, all of this here. And there's Photoshop has much more sophisticated ways of doing it. Oh, of course, I practiced this afternoon. Hey, here we are. So I'm in Photoshop now, and here's my background layer. I always Command J and copy that just in case I mess up. So here I'm going to take the lasso tool, and I'm just going to make a general selection with the lasso tool, and I'm going to edit content aware fill. And you can see what it's going to look like over here. And I probably didn't even need content aware fill. I probably could have just done fill, but that's looking pretty decent to me. I'm going to say okay. And then I'm going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to start from this layer. That content aware fill went on its own layer. It's on its separate layer right here. So now I want to go back. And again, this isn't a Photoshop, but now I'm going to make sure that the layer that I want to copy from is highlighted. I'm going to Command D, deselect that area. I'm still on the lasso tool. I'm going to come right over. And on this one, I know it doesn't do a really good job in one fell swoop. And I think I still, let me try edit fill. Just cancel. That's not what I want. Edit. Fill. Content aware. Now, see, that doesn't do a great job.
I think it looks good. You just didn't put your ants down far enough.
No, this was different. I did it. Let's see. I can't even get rid of this.
Control Z.
What is it? No. Here we go. So you want me to do that? You want me to try the whole thing? Like this?
Yeah.
I don't think it did it before. And I'm going to do the content aware fill. See how right here, it doesn't really play well. But if I do it in 2 sections, again, it's not a Photoshop class. That comes out a little bit better right there. And I can even do, what I can do is take this, let's see, I want this away. I don't want it to use any of this. I don't want it to use any of him. I'm erasing all that. I don't want it to think about this area, so it doesn't add. It should be on the right side once it catches up to me. See how that changed right there? Because I took that away, and I might need to do a little cloning right here, but I'm pretty okay with that. So I'm going to do okay there, and then I'm going to deselect that. I'm going to take this here and do content aware fill again. And now I'm going to make sure, so I'm going to take this away. I don't want it to think about this at all. I want it to think about, I'm going to add, I don't know, I'm going to add to, I want it to only think about, what did I do wrong?
What does
What?
that say? Cannot fill because of what?
Not enough pixels.
I think
Are you
somehow
Not
it
on the
doesn't.
right
No,
layer.
no. I'm on this layer. I needed to go back down here before I did that. Because I was on this layer, there's not enough pixels in that layer to take from. I was going from here. Those are blank pixels. I didn't put my cursor back on the right layer. Okay, now I'm gonna take away from this. I don't want to take any of this.
What is the green? I don't understand.
The green, again, it's not a Photoshop cloud. The green area is telling me that I'm telling Photoshop, only use pixels that are in the green area. Don't use pixels from anywhere else. So now when it copies pixels into this area where I want it to only pick pixels that look like this. Whoops, and I'm going to add this. I'm going to actually add from up here a little bit because I want this area to be, I sort of want those lines to match up. This is a clear area. I mean, it doesn't have the lines in it like the,
Yeah.
so now if I look down here, again, I might need to do some cloning, but it took it. And I Command D to take it. So I do need to do a little cloning here, just a little bit. And
What layer? The layer you just worked on or a new layer?
I'm gonna put it on a new layer, but I'm gonna, yeah, no. Actually, I'm not going to. I'll do it on this layer. All right, so clone stamp. Or maybe just the clone. I'm not going to do a very good job here. I'm not good at this stuff, right? To be honest with you.
No.
No, it's not working. That's okay. You know what I'm going to do? I know what I'm going to do.
Take it from the right section where you've got that line.
No. I'm going to try this again one more time, just right here. See how good it does.
Select add the area behind the kid where there is a lot of black line delimitation between the wall and the floor. Yeah.
That's what I was suggesting.
It doesn't look like it's doing a very good job here.
Yeah.
Am I in the right layer? All right, I'm not going to worry about it. This isn't a shop. This isn't a class about that. I just want to show you. So let's say I'm happy with that, which I'm not.
It looks like you're not in the right layer, no. Yeah.
Oh, is that what it was?
So now how do you get back to Lightroom?
So now there's a couple ways you can do it. I wasn't on the right layer, you're saying? I think I was here.
You were on layer, yeah, you were on layer 1, copy 4. So, for what it's worth.
Okay. All right. I'm just being a little stubborn. Sorry. Nah, it's not going to help. So let's say I'm happy with this picture. There's a couple ways you can do. You can do File, Save, Command S, but typically all I do is click this X and I hit Save. So that's going to close down. You can see in the bottom here it's saving. It's closing down. And when I go back to Lightroom, this says image 1 is the original image I brought into Lightroom, and image 2 or 1 of 2 is the edited image. So just made a second image, and you can actually take these images and stack them if you want. I can remember where stacking was. Right click, you can stack them so that although it says unstack, they should be group into stack. Oh, I know. How about shift? Group into stack so that I only see one of the images, not both of them. It'll take a second. You can see that this is the TIFF and it says Helicon. again, I have a preference set up in there that I haven't changed yet. I would take this, go into library, and go into rename this photo. And I'd probably just change it to 2023-01 Logan. And I would just say PS. And it would still be a TIFF. So I know that's the TIFF. And now I have those layers. Now, if I want to go back in, I right click, I edit in Photoshop. If I ever have to go back into this image. Oh, yeah. That's not supposed to come up. Am I in the right picture? I want this one. Edit in Photoshop.
I'll have 2 selected.
No, thank you. That's it. That's it. Thank you. Now I have a box with 3 choices. Edit with the Lightroom adjustments, edit a copy of the picture, which will make a third one, or edit the original. In this case, it's a little counterintuitive. I want to edit the original picture that I brought into Lightroom and how it came out of Lightroom. So I'm going to choose that. And when I open Photoshop again, there's all my layers right there. And then I could try to fix that and close it and send it back, or go into a texture, or go whatever I want to do with it. Maybe you do anything with it. And if you make smart layers, you have things that you can go back. I'm not going to change anything, so I'm not going to. But can you see how I just right clicked, add it in, and it makes the copy for me? I don't have to create a virtual copy.
Yeah.
Okay. Plugins. Before we go that, let's take a look at this picture, because I have it on my mind mark. Let's look at crank the texture all the way up. And I'm even going to zoom in here because there's a lot of little rocks here, or you could go in even further into the. That's too far. I just wanted to show you. It's still too far. So I crank the texture wheel up, way up, and let's go back, and I'm going to double click that and zero out. Let's make a copy of this picture. Let's make a virtual copy in this particular case, and we'll look at them side by side. So one will crank the texture way up, and in the other, I'm going to crank the clarity way up. And if we look at both of these pictures side by side, I mean, again, Fred or Paul or Alan may be able to tell the difference, but the clarity looks much sharper in this particular image.
Yeah.
Do combo both a lot.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I'll use structure and clarity together.
Oh, you're showing your age now, saying structure versus texture.
Well, texture.
I'm just teasing you. I don't know if you noticed, but I cranked texture up and then I double clicked on texture, or I double click on the arrow and it zeroes it back out for you. So this image has the texture all the way up. And this image.
How do you know what image you're working on?
Yeah, I have to click on it.
Oh, down the strip. Okay.
Yeah.
So
this has the texture already.
For this image, I would choose clarity because
right.
It has very small objects like the small pebbles in the foreground, and then in the back, and there, there's tiny pieces. There's nothing like major there. So yeah, I agree. Clarity will definitely work better for this picture.
And in this picture, let's go back. Where do we do that? I'll get that. But now if this guy's got a lot of hair, so I would think that texture would work better. It wouldn't, the clear, it's not that we need it more sharper. We just want to show versus this. It's too crunchy. But I might want to do the texture And of course, you could use a mask and put it where you wanted to put it and not put it. Did that help at all, Mark?
One on the left, when originally the previous pictures, the one on the left was clarity and the one on the right was texture.
No.
No, could you go back to them, the two pictures?
Yep.
Okay.
So this is the one, and then this is the after. So this photo right here is this one, and that's texture.
The left is
hold on.
texture. The
I
left
thought
is
so.
texture and the right is clarity?
Let's go back to this. This one is texture.
Okay.
This one is clarity. Maybe
Can you
wanna
put them
do it
side
this
by
way.
side?
There we go.
So
It's
left is
doing the before
clarity and
and
right is
after.
texture.
I don't want to do a before and after. I want to do.
I feel like the one with the increased clarity is lacking color. I think the one on the left actually has more color in it.
Well, and of course, that's something you can
Yeah,
change. So
there we go.
I like the one on the right better.
okay, can I just tell you, this is so. I don't think because this is before and after. So this is that's the reference and the active.
Joni, can I make
This
a
isn't help.
select?
Yes, please.
Can I make a suggestion? Select the two down at the bottom and hit N.
Okay, hold on. Select the two at the bottom.
Yeah,
Hit N.
and then hit N.
I did.
Okay, now you've got.
So now but how can I?
Then you've got them next to each other. You're comparing them.
Right. So how do I do this if I want to adjust the left one and then adjust it and while looking at the right one? Is that possible?
Yeah, you can't. It's just to
Okay.
look at them. But
All right.
that's the way you can compare, I would think,
The
you
two.
know, take one and do the
Okay. So
the
this
texture
is
and take
this is
the
the-
other and the clarity and then compare them like that.
all right. So this is this one on the left is texture and the one on the right is clarity, bumped all the way up. And you can only do it in the library module. You can't do that in the develop module, which makes sense.
But then you can bring it to the develop module and do whatever.
But only one of them.
Right.
It's picking the one on the left, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's the one on the right. Okay. Ooh, I hope we get time to edit our pictures. Okay, so the other thing now, I wanted to choose a picture that we're going to. Nope, it wasn't these. Hold on. Let's just take this one. And I'm going to edit in. Edit in what's going on. What is going on now? Oh, it's telling me this image doesn't exist here anymore, that I moved it. That's not right. I did not. Yeah, you're really seeing all my stuff today. Is this, oh, I know, this drive isn't plugged in. This is pre-2018. Hold on, let me plug the drive in. This should pop up in a second. As soon as my computer recognizes the drive. Okay. Ta-da. All right, here we go. So I did the same thing. I right clicked. I said, I chose edit in Photoshop. I'm going to make a duplicate copy. Command J. And let's put this over here. And let's say I'm going to add some texture in Topaz. So I'm going to choose a filter. They're listed in the filters. And I'm going to go to Topaz Studio. And it's going to open up the plugin. You can see in the bottom, that's a Topaz Studio plugin is opening automatically. Way automatically.
You need some music on hold.
Sorry. You do. I can tell you right now, you don't want me to sing. I was asked to lead the,
Da-da-da.
thank you, church choir in 3rd grade. Okay, so now it's in Topaz. I'll just add some funky look,
Yuck.
whatever. I'm just making something dramatic, and I'm going to accept it. And then maybe I want to, now in this case, see, Topaz used my layer. So it must be Nick. And I would do in this way, Topaz Studio 2. I don't remember the name of the filter. Let's say it was the chalk filter. I'm not sure what it was. I would normally remember that. So I know what that is here. And then maybe I'm going to take it into Nick Silver Effects Pro and turn it into a black and white, just because why not?
Can't you turn it black and white in Topaz too, also?
Yep. But most people do prefer the, must be an update. Okay, so I did that and I'm going to apply it. And it brought it, now that brought it back into its own layer. Nick is creating its own layer. So Topaz does not, you have to create your own layer for it, or it'll work on the background image. And now I'm going to close this in Photoshop, say I'm happy with it. I'm going to save it. And this is round tripping it back to Lightroom now.
I think that looks neat.
And you know you saved it as a TIFF because that's how you set up all your stuff, is to save as TIFF.
Yeah, but for some stupid reason, I save them as Helicon TIFF. I think I did that once for Helicon and it applied it to everything and I've never gone back. We're going to be doing preferences next week, so I better fix that before next week. But I would go into my library and rename it.
Matt had a video on that.
Yeah. Recently?
You have to dig in one of the, I started out in that last one we just talked about earlier today, and I just continue to go into his programs from there.
And I went, now in this one, I went into Nick and Topaz Studio.
And do you say black and white or you just leave it that way?
No, I can tell it's black and white. And so I did Nick and Topaz Studio, and that's what I named it down here, right? And it's still a TIFF. And now if I right click and I edit in Photoshop, I'm going to edit the original. And it's going to default to the last one you chose. And here are my layers again. So if I don't, and let's say I want to turn that layer off. And I just want to export an image without that layer. If I close this down and save it, that layer is still there. It's just, it's not turned on. I can't see it. So when I close this, it'll look like this in Photoshop. I can export it. Oh, I want to go back to a black and white version. Oh, look it, I can, and it did not make a third copy. It's still the same copy. I right click, edit in, go back to Photoshop, edit original. And my black and white version is still there.
Scares me to edit original. I like keeping the copy, so the original I can go back to.
Listen, if that works for you, to me, it confuses me.
Okay.
I know
But
my layers are there.
You also lose your layers if you once you've been in Photoshop and you save it, go back to Lightroom, you're going to lose your layers if you go back to open it again in Photoshop and say open copy. So Phyllis, if you don't want to lose all your layers, you have to edit the original.
You have to what?
You have to edit
choose-
original.
Edit original.
Right, if
But
if
your
I'm
original, but your original is still somewhere.
you're not, right, you're not, that's the thing, you're not really editing your original raw file. You're editing what came back from Lightroom in the layers. If you, she's right, if you choose edit with Lightroom adjustments or edit a copy, you will not have those layers anymore in that image.
Thanks.
Okay. The other little thing that we didn't go over last week or the last couple of weeks in develop is there is let's go. There's another little set of settings that we didn't really go over, and that's editing in HDR and Panorama. And I don't have a Panorama image, but it's not that much different. If I right click, or if I go up to photo edit in, photo merge. Right under edit in is photo merge. And I can edit in HDR though. So now I have 3 images selected. 1, 2, 3. These 3 images are selected. And I'm going to right click and photo merge. You can do HDR or a panorama if you've got a stitch of panoramas, or an HDR panorama even. But they all work similar. They're going to create a preview for you here. You can check auto align if things would, maybe in case this is probably shot on a tripod, so it's probably not an issue. And auto settings, if you have people moving or anything that's moving, you might want to do a high ghost. This ghost amount is for if there are moving objects, maybe clouds, even if it was a windy day and you shot them a little bit further apart. You want to align them and to tell Lightroom how much ghosting do you need to apply. I don't think any needs to be applied here. And then you just hit merge. And it'll add a 4th photo when it's done. I believe it's going to be, these were all DNGs, so they're, well, somebody wants to come in.
Well, you can see it's moved, yeah.
It's creating, yep, it's creating the HDR, and it'll be a 4th picture. 4th image will come down here. And then once you have that, you have the full range of all 3 images. So now you can make your adjustments, your exposure, highlights, shadows, etc. Because you've got a much fuller range to play with.
Mm-hmm. Is Frank on vacation again?
No, Frank actually emailed me earlier. It's school vacation week, so he had grandchildren duty, and he didn't know if he was going to be able to come in. He said if he did, maybe he'd come in late, but
okay.
Yeah. See, school vacation, my daughter took it off, so I don't have grandchildren. I don't have my grandson tomorrow. But I have a shiva to go to tomorrow afternoon, so there's that.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Sorry
All
about
right, so
that.
yeah. So I can already see that Lightroom put the image right here. This is the first one. This is the HDR. And it says HDR right in the title. It adds HDR in there.
Where are you looking for the title?
I've selected the image, and on the left, on the toolbar right here, see it says HDR.g. The first image was miscellaneous 1. I think this is probably miscellaneous 2. This is miscellaneous 3. And the one that's HDR is miscellaneous 1 HDR.
Wow, look at the difference.
Well, it's combining the lights of all 3, the exposures of all 3 images.
Yep.
And it made these adjustments, but you can certainly change them even from there. So you can, it's pretty good HDR. I mean, there are other, obviously Photoshop does it. I think there are other HDR and Panorama, but I don't know. I've had pretty good success with Lightroom. Okay. This was an interesting thing that I learned this week, and I was telling Alan about it earlier. Let me find an image that will work. Well, this will work for quick and easy. We talked about masking last week, and when you create a mask using an object, what I never noticed before I saw this video this week is that I've always used this brush, and maybe I want to just choose the groom. And I'm doing real rough here. I don't know if I should have made a bigger thing. I don't know if that will take it. So that pick, so he picked that, Lightroom picked the groom. And maybe we need to add his hands, but there's another way to do that. Which is when you choose object selection, there's a rectangle. If you click on the rectangle, you basically, and I think this is a little bit quicker, just trying to draw a general rectangle around the object that you want selected. And that was a lot quicker than the brush. Now I might want to add the brush or add the object again and just do his hand. It selected it. You might want to clean up the selection. I think if I turn this on and off, yeah, that's his jacket. Look at that. There's very little contrast there between the background and the edge of his jacket. And darn if that doesn't look like it did a pretty good job detecting that difference. So that object selection is pretty cool, I think. Add object using that rectangle instead of the brush.
You can also use that brush like the what do you call the one? The lasso tool.
The brush like a lasso tool?
Yeah. If you click on the brush and you make it small, and then you just outline.
Okay. I get what you're saying. Take the brush, make it really small, and just kind of go like this.
Yeah.
Outline him.
I like the other way. It's faster.
I think, yeah, I do too. But this might be a little more precise.
The problem I find with the
no, see, that didn't work.
Oh, got his hands this time.
I have found that for the brush to work, it usually has to be pretty big, especially for a big area like this. Hello, what am I doing? What happened to my? What happened to my thing? I got rid of it. I did something stupid that I hit a key and I hid it. I hid my little mask tool. Okay, hopefully we're not going to mask again tonight before I figure that out. There it is. There we go. If I'm going to use the brush, I typically have to use the brush pretty big for a subject like this. I still didn't get his hand. But once I found that, it was like, oh, I'm always going to use that. I think I'm almost always going to use that. And I might have to add to it. I didn't do, her veil didn't come in.
And then you can just mask the hand second try around.
Yeah. All right, I just wanted to show you that there was something that I learned this week that I thought was cool. So let's go to our pictures. And this is the first one that came in. I don't think he's here. John McLeish. I don't think he's here, but I think he watches the videos. John, this came in, this is tiny. This is like 32 kilobytes. So it's hard to see. I've got, when I click on it, I'm at, 100% zoom, and you can see the quality is pretty low resolution here. I honestly thought this was a good can, and he's not here to tell me what to do. One of the things he told me, I believe, was this bothered him, and he wanted to know what to do with that. But first of all, I would actually edit this in gigapixel. And gigapixel, there's something special I have to do, and I haven't figured out what it is in order to go to Photoshop. So I'm going to do the gigapixel right from here. And I did update it today. Yeah. So I'm going to see what gigapixel can do with this. And I don't play with gigapixel a whole lot, but it kind of fit in with our external editing. So I thought, let's try it. But you saw even from Lightroom, I just right clicked. I don't think I want to do that. Okay. Sorry, I didn't know I was going to do this. I did the same thing. I right clicked, you can go up to photo, but I edited in, and that list on the bottom under the Photoshop was Topaz Gigapixel AI. So I didn't go to Photoshop this time. And again, this is not a Topaz tutorial, and I'm going to keep it at some basic settings. The default is going to be 4 times the size of the image. You can go up to 6 times, and it looks like you can even go higher now. I know I just did an update on this and I haven't played with it, but here's 4 times. And if I zoom in right here, zoom in on the picture. I mean, even that, look at that. I think that's a huge difference from what we saw in Lightroom.
Absolutely.
So I think
Yeah.
the 4X is pretty good. The standard, you can play with these settings, learn. There's certainly Topaz YouTube tutorials out there, but I'm just going to hit apply. And that's going to go right back to Lightroom. Saving
What's
it.
the difference between gigapixel AI, sharpen, and denoise?
Gigapixel is actually looking at the image and making it the image size bigger and making it a better quality image. You can take
So it scales it up.
Yes, scales it up. There you go.
Okay.
Topaz denoise is taking a very noisy image and removing the noise from the parts of the image that has it. It does a much better job than Lightroom. And what was the third one?
Sharpen. The sharpen AI.
Sharpen is sharpen. And you really, sharpen is sharpening and making it sharper. And it does, again, they're pretty powerful tools, and you've got a lot of, you have a lot of control over what parts you want to do and how, but you always want to take away noise before you sharpen. And now Topaz AI does both in one step. So,
okay.
And the new Topaz, it's just called Topaz AI. It does denoise and sharpen in one set. So here we are. We did the gigapixel. I think that's much better. And it looks like it did the original picture. I don't have that picture anymore. And I think I could import it back again so you can see the difference between the two, but I don't think I need to. All right, so that is 100%. But that's still a lot bigger than what it was before.
Why do you think he just didn't do 1050 by 1400?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it. And he's not here to ask. So I think what he wanted to do, he didn't like this area. And I'm wondering, I think this can be a collaboration if people have ideas. I don't know if we can clone it. We can try. Let's say heal and just take this part here and see what it does. It's taking it from there, but I might want to take it. I don't think I'm going to like that either. I'm trying to line these lines up. I'm going to hide that. Yeah, I don't love that. So I'm going to delete it. Could we do something with a mask and choose object and do a little rectangle and see if we can just choose this part. I'm going to delete that and do make the.
What does he
this-
want done with this?
I think he doesn't want that to be as, I don't think he wants it, he is, I can go back to the email. He just said, if you can get rid of this, I think is what he said, but I don't think you could, I mean, you can't really crop it out.
I wonder if there's some way to soften that, just put a mask over it and just soften it way down so it's not so eye-catching.
Well, that's what I was gonna just choose it first.
You
And
can also apply a vignette and it will hide
Susan,
most of it.
Let's see, I would maybe, can we change the hue? That was one thing I was wondering. So that's
better.
better, but I would subtract this part right here to make it bend a little bit. And then maybe take the saturation out a little bit. And maybe even yeah, I mean, certainly we could select that. Now that was one idea I had to play with that. Now, Fred, what were you just saying?
If you apply a vignette, you will hide at least half of it. And if you play with the roundness of the vignette. Not a vignette in, if you go down on the, not
I
that
know,
one.
no, I typically do it this way, that's all.
Okay, I got it.
What are you
And then,
trying to do?
yeah, Fred wanted a vignette on this to see if it would kind of minimalize it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes. And in vignette, you have several options in where it says roundness. It will go from round to more like a rectangle. And obviously here, you know, you have to play with the roundness. But you can do it either way. I mean, the way you started.
Yeah, no, let's do it your way. No, I mean, it's good to see it different ways. So bring it down and then bring the midpoint down and bring the roundness up.
Actually, what I would do, I will bring the amount down quite a bit, so it's exaggerated. Quite a bit, actually. And now you can play, put a midpoint back where in the middle, where it used to be. Right, and then now play with the roundness.
Something like that.
Something like that. See, now your eye goes to the butterfly and the flower, and the lower right is not significant anymore.
Right. And I might even
There.
play with this mask even a little bit more because I feel like I don't know if I want to even take away from this a little bit right here. Oops, I did the opposite. It was just a little green. Well, the other thing that maybe I think this is a JPEG too, so I don't know how much I can. Oh, this already. I don't know what the camera was used or anything. I was trying to. There was that little. I don't like the coloring over here really, but without more. Let me go back and read the email real quick.
I think you've improved it 100% just with
Well, I don't know
those
about
few
100.
things. Oh, yeah.
Let's see, John.
Also, on top of the vignette, you can add a gradual filter to darken a little bit more or change a little bit more.
Let's see. I thought it would do better. However, I had cropped it already, but Lisa mentioned the things on the bottom right. Oh, he put this into the competition and cropped it, but Lisa mentioned the things on the bottom right. I love her feedback and notice how much she picks up on the edge issues, things to turn upside down. as well as blah, blah, blah. He just said the things in the right. Does anybody remember what Lisa said in the competition the other day?
No.
Yeah. And I still would like to see this greener, personally, a little more like this to match the color. So if we took this mask and added, I wonder if can we do this, added a color range to it and changed it to this? No, that's not going to work. I guess I was trying to color match it, and I don't know that I can do that. I think in Photoshop you probably could, but I don't think Lightroom would. Okay, I think that's enough spent on that image. This is Beth's image. Beth, would you like to do this?
Well, I can try.
Well, what is it about this image that you would like?
Okay.
I think we all need to go
so I
photograph this
submitted this to-
waterfall before Natick gets rid of it.
You need a what?
We need to all go
Getting
photograph
rid
this.
of it.
Wait a minute,
Natick
two
is-
people are talking. Joni, you need to what?
I think we all need to go photograph the South. Is this the South Natick waterfalls, right? Beth?
Yeah, yes.
Natick is talking about
Yes.
getting rid of them.
How do you get rid of them?
I
Take
don't know.
water in a package and carry it somewhere?
No. I don't know what they're gonna, but anyway.
You're gonna dismantle it and take it down.
Oh, that's too bad. Why do they want to build, anyway?
It's an engineering problem. Go ahead, Beth. What would you like?
Okay, so
I'm sorry.
I'm
First of all, is this your raw image?
yes.
Okay.
It is right out of camera. Nothing was done to it, to this one. I did edit this at the time and I submitted it to competition and it got a 30. But the way I remember it, yeah.
So
I'll show you when I go into Lightroom. The way I remember it, well, because the way I remember it, this was after a storm and I was talking to somebody on the phone and she said to me, oh my gosh, look at the light. And now when I was on the phone with her, the window was behind me. So but I could see strange light coming in the window. I looked out the window and I had never seen light like that before. So she said, oh, you should go photograph it. And I'm like, oh, but then I have to put boots and coat and all. She go do it. She said, okay. So I go with Greg. He's out plowing or snow blowing. And I said, I'm going up to the falls to take a picture. And he said, well, I'll go with you. Wait a minute. So we went. He looked out at this scene and he said, I'll wait for you in the car. I don't see anything. I'm like, okay. So I came home and this is what I captured. I mean, there were a few, I took a few of them, obviously, and this was the best of all of them that I captured. So I'll show you the one that I submitted, which I like, but it's not the lighting that I saw. And I have not been able to reproduce the lighting.
All right, so I stopped sharing. So now you have to share screen for us to see what you're doing. Do you see the green button at the bottom? Okay.
And Beth, this is the exact problem I have with every picture I take. I can never recreate the lighting I actually saw. So thank you for bringing up this topic.
Oh, you're
Shoot it on your iPhone. Ha ha ha.
You don't know how many times I have come away with a shot on my iPhone and one on my DSLR, and I've been happier with the one on my iPhone.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Well, I had a really old iPhone this was taken in 2016. So this is the color that I saw. This was the lighting and the coloring that this was more accurate than this one. So, and this is when I said to Greg, I'm going to the, and so, okay.
It was pink.
This is, yeah, it was, but this, it was kind of a salmon kind of color, I think.
Yeah, I actually remember that day. I went out and took pictures of trees like that. It was unbelievable.
It was crazy. Yeah.
Crazy.
I had never seen anything like it. Anyway, so this is what I submitted, but it doesn't look anything like this one. The colors, and I can't get the colors to look that way.
Beth, could
So
I
I
make a
was looking-
suggestion? Could I make a
Sure.
suggestion? Go into develop.
Yeah, sure.
And go down
Yeah.
to, I mean, I gotta see go down into color grading, I think.
That's what I was thinking too.
Okay.
You go down to where? Oh,
Color grades.
And then take your highlights and add red to it, or maybe just darken, or just take,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's getting closer.
Where'd it go? Oh,
So the dot on the outside changes the color, and the middle to the end, from the center to the outer wing changes the intensity.
Oh, okay.
So if you move it right or left, you're changing the color. Yeah, that's right. I would pull it from there. Yeah.
yeah, make it red and then make it more intense.
That didn't work.
But it's closer. I mean, what about doing it on
Anyway.
the finished? What about doing it on the finished image that you submitted?
Oh, I could do that. Let's see.
Because that you don't have all the other adjustments there. I mean, you're already starting off
Okay.
with a
Yeah.
pretty cool image there.
Let me
There's
create-
a lot of blue and purples in there.
but there wasn't any blue and purple when I took it.
So we can. This is a good
Okay.
place to change that.
Okay, so I'm going to this. Right.
Maybe try it on your midtones also.
it is adding pink.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Isn't there a way to slow this thing down?
There is.
But this is, see, this
What is
pink,
it?
pinker than that. I know the shift, holding the shift key makes a line, but
I think holding one of the maybe option or command, one of them I think slows it down, and I don't remember which one it is either, but I think there is a way to do it.
oh, maybe that one.
Oh, try that in the midtones too. I agree.
Yeah, okay. But it's still pink and not like salmon color.
Mm.
And
Well-
maybe it just isn't meant to be. No. I can't, my hands are so
Well-
shaky, I can't do it.
Maybe, to work on the salmon color in
In this one,
in the, work, yeah.
and
Uh.
do what with it? I mean, I want to replicate
No,
it.
I wouldn't touch that one.
Yeah,
Wait a
maybe
second. Isn't
go back and add some yellow.
wait, Alan, isn't there a way that she can take the color from one image and apply it to, like, with a picker?
That's what I was thinking.
In Photoshop, I've done it. I've never done it in Lightroom.
All right.
And you try it, the highlights, add yellow in the highlights.
okay.
That's the midtones.
Oh, sorry, oops.
Yeah, you have to move the middle circle out, because otherwise it doesn't.
Yeah, you've got, it's not intense enough. You want to move that to the right. The center. There you go.
And then
There you go.
But that's pinker. That's wrong. It's still the wrong. Oh wait, that's
then
highlight
take,
or midtones.
that's too intense to
Yeah.
all stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Oops. Oh, jeez.
Just do Control Z.
Oh dear.
So this
But
is
I
something you can, but that's a
Okay.
good direction. You could try
Yeah,
that.
okay. Yeah, okay.
I actually
I was
would go
just
with
curious if it could be,
the colored HLR,
HSL.
HSL, and pick,
yeah,
pick the
and
pink.
play with the play with the
I would
hue.
pick the pink,
or
and
the
then
pink.
do
It-
saturated.
No,
or
no,
desaturated.
he's saying pick the pink. So click on the little dot under hue to the left side, the picker. To the left of
No, I would
saturation.
actually use the picker on it.
That use the picker and pick the pink, you're saying, right?
That's what
Like
she
we-
wants to drop. Yes.
Right. And then
Did I do it?
lower the saturation.
I'd go either way, and sometimes look at the luminous. I never play with the hue because the hue is just too much.
Well, she's on the saturation right now.
Oh, okay, well.
But those are the starting
it's
places for you.
those- Okay,
Play with them.
yeah.
Like
okay.
way up in the right. Oh, I
All
can't.
right.
Oh, I can use my hold on. Don't get out of there. I can use my pointer, right? I can. How
You
do we
can
figure
use
this?
annotate.
Two options at the top, then annotate.
Oh, options.
View
Yeah.
options and then annotate, right?
Go back. See right here, where my cursor is. Beth, can you see my
No.
cursor? Right
Can
here.
you make is your
No, I
cursor
don't
the
see
red
it.
one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see that right there, yeah.
So if you use that color picker, let me,
Okay,
can I get rid of that clear?
okay. I'll give it a try. I mean, I'm not gonna submit this again, but I
No,
thought
you
maybe-
can't.
I know, so I thought I could maybe
But for
print
your
it
own
and
personal.
print
right.
it and hang it on the wall or something, because
Yeah.
especially if they get rid of it, it's a nice thing to have. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
All right. You want to stop sharing?
Yep.
And
Something in chat. Oh,
who doesn't have audio? Deb. Deb, I had
Judy,
Croc wants this.
that's my picture.
I know. Hold on a second though, Mark. Deb, are you John McLeish? Oh, that was her image. I guess because it came under an email from John McLeish, I didn't realize it was yours, Deb. I had cropped more thistles from the right, but Lisa thought there was still get stuffed a bit of in the lower right. I don't have audio. Okay. All right. So that was the chat. Yep, that's yours, Mark.
So Junie, so we were taking that picture, walking on a trail through close to Lake Tahoe, and it was getting darker. And I didn't realize until after I left that was very greatly underexposed. But I hit auto. I guess you could hit auto too right
Okay.
now, and just tell me how much of it you think is it.
Whoa!
Is it
Look at
right?
that's a huge difference.
Wow. Yeah.
Right. So
That's
the
amazing.
question is, what else would you do to it besides what auto did?
I probably would select that sky
Mhm.
and maybe and even add a little more down here with let's do an object. Add that area in there, the whole center area. And there's even more sky. It's not picking up here. But then I might take that and dehaze it for one. I might do that a little, or maybe bring down the highlights, make that a little more dramatic. You've got to add some brushwork in here.
You have a
It's not
sensor
picking up-
spot. too.
Well, yeah, I know that. But now I'm going to take the brush and kind of bring that in here a little bit.
Also, the picture is tilted a little bit.
Well, but that wasn't his question, so we can certainly address that. Whoops, I didn't like that.
That auto was pretty amazing.
That auto was amazing. You're right. Yeah, they're right about the sensor spots here. Do you see these spots right there?
Now I
Like
do.
this.
I didn't notice them before. So
Yeah.
that means I need to get my sensor, I need to get a cleaning done.
Yep. And let's see what auto doesn't really do much. Somebody's got a phone call. Is it Mark?
It's not me.
It was me. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I just straightened the horizon a little bit there. Did you see that?
Yep.
I just kind of, and auto didn't do a whole lot, but if you weren't sure about it, this is where you take that line, and I might use that. And I got it pretty good. Anything
So,
else on
so
that, Mark?
you said, wait, you said
Yeah.
auto didn't do a lot? I'm confused.
The auto,
Auto,
no, back up a second. The auto
Yes.
crop, the auto straighten.
Oh, the auto crop, okay.
Right. I was in there. That didn't really change it, but if I take this bubble level and I click on the bottom of the mountains and try to draw a straight line across there, and I say that's what I want straight, now it did straighten it a little bit.
Mhm.
Wow, that auto is unbelievable, huh?
What
Now,
do we,
would you be
here?
doing anything? Would you be doing anything in that picture at this point with vibrance or or texture?
Probably not.
Okay.
I mean, the vibrance is,
what
you're
do
getting
you
some,
Try black,
try what?
Auto did
wanna
90%
try
of the
black and
work.
white.
To make it a black
You can
and
try
white.
it.
See, I'm not
Try it,
liking,
just,
I don't like the masking that we did.
I don't like it either.
No, I don't, that didn't work out so good. I would think that,
subtract the mountains from the mask.
I mean, I added them in to begin with, but. we
I
could
think
even
color
start-
is better than black and white.
Okay,
Personal preference.
Yeah, just wanted to see what it looked like, that's all.
Mhm.
I think that was what the mountains were. No, that didn't do much. I added a brush afterwards. Okay. I think that was an amazing auto example.
Mhm.
This is this Fred? I didn't
Yeah.
change the name. I didn't change the name of it. The rest of them I changed the name.
Yeah,
I guess I
sorry,
didn't.
put my name on it. I forgot. Yeah.
No, I don't think anybody did. So, do you want to do it on your own computer, or do you want?
Sure. Yeah.
I'll stop sharing. You have your Lightroom up,
I do.
and your image easy to get to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the point of this image is that, as I was telling you in the email, this is actually a pet memorial. It's kind of odd, but that's what it is. And what's hanging in the tree are just pet pictures and their date of death. But anyway, it's a very busy picture, and honestly, I looked at this one and I'm just scratching my head, and I just don't know how to bring into focus that it's actually a memorial. So one thing that I guess I could do is to go into crop, right?
That's the first thing I thought of.
And maybe, you know, bring it a little bit closer, maybe cut a little bit from the left so that S-shaped tree goes away, maybe. So I'm just grasping here at the straw. I mean, I just don't know. So something along those lines, maybe. But then it's still too busy. I mean, the tree in the back actually is more, you see it more than the actual tree. So maybe I could, I don't know.
Pop it
Yeah,
more.
those lines are very strong around the tree. It's making
maybe
a
I could
nice frame.
I could select an object. I could select this tree right here. Whoops, maybe I need a bigger brush there.
Or do that rectangle.
What if you just crop down from the top and just focus on the middle of the main tree?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is it that you actually want to show to make this image strong?
To focus on the fact that there are so many pictures.
There you go.
Tree.
Now you can
It's
see that
actually
there are pets on there.
it
Too
shows a
busy.
message. It's that it's memorial. That's what I want to show. I mean, if we go to the beginning, if we go to how the picture started, it's nothing. It's just a picture and something hanging from this tree. Whereas,
Maybe if you went back and picked a certain spot instead of trying to get the whole thing, because it's really busy.
well, I do have other versions. I do have this version where it's oops, no, not that one. It's really narrowing on the subject. So now here, actually, I think this one I edited because I highlighted this tree, this dog here. So this is an angle that's not very good. So this is definitely smack in your face. But all you see is a bunch of pictures, but you don't necessarily understand that this is a bigger trees and they're
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, taking pictures from different angles did the trick, like this one, for instance. But this one, I don't know. Maybe it's not possible. I'm just saying. Maybe.
Are you using a negative vignette? A white.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that would be maybe.
No, and you're basic.
Keep going down.
Go back to basic. You're in a mask right now.
Yeah.
So get out of the mask by clicking on the sliders next to the crop tool. And then go down.
To go to the vignette. Yeah, but he said a reverse.
Negative. Yeah, make it white.
Like that?
Yeah. Radical.
See, I think the background's busy, but the tree itself is busy too. It's not.
Right. There's too much busyness in this picture. So I don't know.
But it had an impact for you, so it's something you wanted to try to do.
Right.
That's why
now you can see a little bit more of this. And maybe just zooming in and some of these hanging pictures and try to highlight those.
Where
I was
was this,
thinking that
Fred?
too.
Yeah, I think that's why I crop it to a smaller specific area and people will see it. I mean, I knew what it was when I saw it.
Oh, you did?
But yeah, I knew that it was, I assumed it was some kind of memorial, but there were so many, my eye couldn't rest on anything. I wanted to rest on something.
Yeah, for instance, in this one, your eye most likely goes to the dog.
Right.
Yeah.
Where
And
is
And
this?
even then, they're so close together, and some of them you're just seeing the back of them. So it's, yeah, this is tough. I mean, you could highlight 2 or 3 that are in the, where's my annotate thing? Here we go.
Those 3 right in the left-hand side toward the middle that are
Like
together.
right here. Yeah. Those, maybe
Yeah.
this guy down here, you know, taking some really specific ones like that.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can do that one or not, but
Where is this tree, Fred?
it's in Central Park, New York.
oh, I'm going there
Oh.
in May. I can go take some pictures.
Don't ask me where it is because it's actually, I think I know, it's somewhere in the parallel of Street 6970, somewhere in the middle of the park. I actually stumbled on this by accident. So,
Check the
I don't,
GPS coordinates on your photo.
or is
oh,
it?
right. GPS on your photo.
I don't have the GPS turned on in my camera because my camera eats batteries like crazy when it's on GPS.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't have that. So yeah, I mean, I could probably go one by one and just bring them out like that. That's,
I think that helps. Do the ones on the left that Beth was talking about too. So your eye kind of has somewhere in the picture to go around to.
yeah. Let's see, objects. Pick all of them. See if... Now I have to say this mask selection is pretty damn good.
I agree. Yeah, well, that might be a little much, but yeah, I think
No,
that's,
I'm going to bring it down with my
Yeah.
lights. I'm gonna bring it
Yeah.
down. Yeah, it's a bit too much. But anyway, it's bringing them out like this one right here. Try an object. Boom. Oh no, I didn't catch it. Oh, you said the rectangle, right? I don't think I ever used the rectangle. Select object and
Yep.
yeah, rectangle.
you have to start further to the left than you think.
Yeah.
That did a pretty good job. But just so you know, you can't start. It's you're drawing from the center of it.
Yeah.
Sort of like when you're making a selection with the marquee tool in Photoshop.
Joni, what happens if you add clarity to those selections?
I probably, some of these I might actually dehaze a little. They'll get sharper, right?
I
Oh,
think,
yeah, clarity
and
will
texture,
definitely work here.
clarity and texture would both add to that, I think.
I'm not sure about texture, but clarity for sure. Like I'm going to exaggerate. So this is clarity, and it's working on this part of the tree right here.
Right.
So clarity definitely brought more sharpness, as you can
Yeah.
see. I'm playing with it, so it
Yeah.
definitely brings more sharpness. So I'm going to reset it, and if I'm going to go to texture, I don't think it's going to do too much.
No.
It doesn't do too much because they are small features, but clarity.
And the photos themselves were smooth, even though the
Yeah.
animal might have some texture in it. You know, it's probably laminated or something, or some of them look like Polaroids. I don't know.
I don't think I have a good picture here to show the difference because there were not that many trees. But anyway, so okay, yeah, all right. That was pretty much my question.
That was a good image to play with. Thank you.
Yeah.
If you want to stop sharing, I'll go to see who's next. We have another one from Mark, I know. Mark, did you want to do this one? On your,
Okay.
did you want to do the lot?
I will let you do it. Again, I bring it up, and the first thing I did was I chose auto, but then, okay, so wait till you hit auto.
Yeah, I'm just moving something out of the way. Hold on. That added a lot of dehaze and well, not so much dehaze, contrast for sure.
Yeah.
Lowered the highlights.
Now, but the ground is too bright.
Yeah,
That's
right
one of the
here.
things I'd want to do some.
Yeah, I
And
agree. So now let's try this mask and do the luminance range and see if we can pick over here. Now it's picking a lot more than that. I can probably subtract from some of these. I can subtract from this area. I can subtract.
Is there a way to select the luminance threshold?
Hold on a second. Say that again.
Is there a way to select the luminance threshold?
Yes, I believe there is.
Oh, luminance threshold.
Threshold.
Thank you.
Threshold, yeah, where it actually starts to pick.
So in here, right here. So you want the pink to be where it's picking. So you want this. I'm going to cancel this. Hold on. Because this is something new for me. I know it's possible. Luminance range. You want the dark areas. Let's pick first. Pick here. And then hello.
What are you trying to do? Everything's pink.
I know. It's not, well, that's just the color of the mask. I'm just trying to get the areas that.
If you
Go ahead.
when you subtracted with the object, the square, that took all the mask off the left-hand guy. I think
But they were,
took it
but
off
they were,
of most of the right hand.
so let's do this. We really just want this pink to be down here. We don't want it to be up here at all.
Right.
And so.
Red. Oops.
Nope, that's okay. I'm just showing the luminance map. It's just the dark and the whites. There should be a way to change that range. I just don't know enough about it. And for me, honestly, it seemed like that object selection subtracted a little bit better.
It did a great job, I thought.
The other thing would be if we took a different tack, what if we changed did things with brightness, shadows, and contrast, instead of trying to find the ground?
Hold on a second. My brain was, all right, so say that again, Mark.
I'm saying, let's say you remove this and we go back to just auto. Do a reset and just choose auto.
Can I see what happens with what you just selected? Will that do anything? What will?
Well,
it didn't make it darker. Okay.
Well, I didn't make any adjustments yet.
Yeah, that's doing a good job, I think.
Yeah.
And it's doing stuff in here too, though. There's that luminance range was all over there. I'll say, all right, so I'm going to delete this now, Mark. Go ahead. Tell me what you want me to do.
I'm saying, let's say you just use the brightness, contrast, and shadows controls
in this basic panel.
Yeah. Yes.
So this is already down quite a bit. The shadows. I don't think we have to touch the shadows. I think it's the exposure. Well, that's what I was trying to
Okay,
do.
we
for them.
do
I was trying to mask this.
exposure.
I was trying to mask this area by luminance and just
Mm-hmm.
change. And when I make these adjustments, they're global.
Right.
Yes.
So we want to attack this area here. Now you're not blowing them out. I mean, that's good. Is it white seashells or just very light sand or something? I mean, you're not losing detail, but it's not bringing your eye to the subjects. So maybe I would
If you
do
select
this, select subjects, and now maybe brighten them a little and take the shadows out of them and highlight them a little bit more like that. And then
maybe add
we'll
some
do-
clarity on them.
we could. And then,
And
as I say,
bring-
and then make a vignette around here. But let's go back to the mask of them and add some clarity.
When you chose the animals, you did not, I don't think you got the back legs completely.
Okay, I can add that.
And would you consider masking their eyes and bringing down, opening up the shadows a little bit to brighten their eyes up?
I would. Yeah. So that added the legs. And then I mean, I see some areas here too that.
In the tree, the left-hand side.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to. I did this again. There we go. I'm pressing the back button instead of the right bracket.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, you could get even more right here in here. There's more, but
Here I would just select the animals, make a reversal mask or an invert mask, and darken everything down.
Try some clarity too.
I did.
Oh,
What are you doing now? I'm missing it.
I'm selecting the subjects again, and then I'm inverting them, and bring the whole rest of it, that background down a little bit. Everything but the subjects. Now I still think their heads need some work and their eyes.
Yeah.
Here you get the animals in a brighter
Yeah.
situation. I would
Yeah.
even take the highlights and the whites and drop those down.
have you tried the pet eye, Joni? I mean, the animal eye or pet eye?
We
I think
have,
it's called.
but I don't. Yeah, but you don't even need that. You really could just do. Oh yeah, they do pet eyes. That's right. Just trying to move that guy over a little.
That pretty.
That bright.
That's.
It brightened the
think-
right eye. The left eye is just very
Yeah.
hard. Yeah. Oops. Go back up here. Where is it?
I tried
Was-
that pet eye the other day.
Where is it?
Oh, it's right next to the masking tool.
Oh, that's right. We did that.
But I
last
think
week.
it's mostly for when the eyeballs or the pupils are like blown out or something.
Yeah.
It's
red
like
eye.
magic though. It fixes it unbelievably.
Well, it did last
like the
week in
auto.
that blue. So that, Mark, I think that brought this down a lot. And I think
Yeah.
the subjects pop a little bit more than they did. Is there anything else you'd like to try?
Okay, so what we decided that the thing that worked best was choosing the animals and a reverse mask and darkening everything else. Is that what worked best?
Yeah, we did 2 masks. We did the mask of the animals, and we brightened them a little bit. We increased the contrast. We increased the clarity. I might even actually add a little saturation to them too. Maybe even warm them up a tad. And then we made a reverse mask of the background, and we darkened that, we brought that down. And this mask was the eyes, which didn't do too much.
But it did help.
A little bit. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, it's 9:05, and I think, did I get all the images that people sent in? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think so. I had a couple others that if we had time, I would do stuff with, but I think we've done enough for tonight. Now, next week, it's also a little bit of a short week, I think. So if you want to go, if you have a specific question that you want us to review, if you have images you want to go over like we did tonight, I'm happy to do that. Next week, what we're focusing on is setting up our preferences, our catalog settings, and going over keyboard shortcuts, which I will have a list in the notes as an attachment that I'll send a separate attachment with just a keyboard shortcut list. But if there's something else that you'd like to review that we've gone over before, that would be a good week to do it, because it's not a real time-consuming week.
Thank you.
Okay.
And so other images that you want to look at, I think things like this, it's more practical to look at this from a developed standpoint. But in future, the next few weeks after we get into the preferences, I think that we start to look at the other modules, but
well, then you have collections, menus, metadata, print module, slideshow.
Collections a big one. Yeah, and then we get into the other modules. The collections, yeah, that's a big one.
That's on the
Alrighty.
27th.
Well, it might not be now because we pushed this back a week. We did an extra develop week.
Well, whatever, that's the next one.
Yeah, well, next week is going to be preferences, catalog settings, and
Keyboard shortcuts.
Right, keyboard shortcuts. Okay.
I just want to say hi, Nikki.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Oh,
Joni.
Erin, you were very quiet tonight.
Is that unusual?
No, I forgot though that you had an image. Did you want to next week? If
No, I did not have an image. I was searching for one just before dinner because I didn't think you'd have enough, but you've got enough. And I thought what we did tonight, I think what I liked particularly was looking at all of the options, the different ways you can play with images. And there's just not one set way.
It's true.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that was highlighted working on these images. That was a good idea.
And start with the auto button sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I loved seeing the other images, whether they were good or bad, and what we did to make them better.
Yeah.
That was wonderful.
And I like the suggestions coming in from other people too. So we're hearing all kinds of different ways.
Right. Thank you all. It's been great.
You.
Thank you, Joni.
I asked a question weeks ago that I think I found the answer to. I said I had trouble importing, and I actually called up at the time when I was having the trouble importing, I called up Adobe and spoke to 5 different people and didn't get an answer. I think I figured out what the answer is, that the catalog shouldn't be OneDrive. It should be outside of OneDrive. And I think that fixed the problem.
OneDrive is horrible. Don't use OneDrive.
I've never heard of OneDrive. I don't know.
I
what
don't
it
even
is.
know what it is.
It's Microsoft's answer to Dropbox. They're the only company I know of that can take a very simple concept like a folder that syncs to the cloud and mess it up.
Very good.
Interesting.
Yeah, don't use one. We use it at work and it's absolutely horrible.
Good to know.
Well,
that's good
and it's too bad
information, yeah.
Adobe didn't notice that. Did they take over your computer, Mark?
Oh, yes, they did. I
And they
spoke to
didn't notice
5
that you were
different
putting
people.
your catalog in OneDrive?
They didn't notice. I figured it out for myself. And the
Wow.
answer is that something that changes rapidly, like the catalog, should definitely not be in OneDrive. Something that changes very slowly, it's okay if it's in OneDrive.
Okay. All right.
Live and learn.
Problem solved. Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you.
Good
All right,
night.
night.
Okay, good night.